All right, it's time for another week of ZTGD
It's been
Radio.
time.
Man, I feel like it's nobody knows because we weren't recording, but like it's like 12 minutes past the time we normally start. These motherfuckers done been off.
Yeah, we got started with before hitting the record button. Sorry, y'all.
But
Sorry.
this is episode 780 for January 22nd, 2024, and on the show this week we got Anthony,
Yep.
we got Terrence,
What up?
and hey Wombat, I finally get to say hi to you.
Hi.
Hey, Ryan.
Hi. We are 700 episodes and then add 80 to that into this podcast.
I know, right? But you don't even
It's
count
a lot.
you don't even count like the E3 shows and
No. Ain't
game of the
counting any
year
of that.
shows don't count. Like it's just
Right.
that's too many podcasts that have been recorded with mediocre effort.
Mediocre's a high bar.
That's true. But
What would be less than just minimal? I guess minimal would be.
Yeah, with minimal effort.
I think we have
Yeah.
delivered the most minimal effort in the history of podcasting.
I think you're right. Actually, I think that's fair. I think it's fair
I'm
to say that
apologetics.
I think it's fair to say that we're the best worst podcast. We're at least the longest running worst podcast.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I'm
Just-
contact
And,
Gibbs.
and you
Listening
know
book.
why? And you know why? Because money doesn't have anything to do with it. Speaking of which, Anthony, Terrence, why don't you guys kick off?
Oh god.
You guys want to continue your conversation about fakey-mons?
That was good. That was really good.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, who wants to go first? I don't even know where.
I'll go first because we could get the Palmon stuff out the way. I don't think we'll probably go as deep as our discussion was just a bit ago, but just so everybody kind of gets a feel
Somehow
for where
I
we're all
doubt
coming
that.
from. But yeah, I think we probably
these
will.
conversations
We
have
may.
been out of control. I'm to blame. I understand.
You know what? And this is why
Hey, you're just trying to be the very best that no one's ever been.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you used too many of the words from the actual song. you need to change those. Go to the
Violation.
source.
But no, I love the fact that you always have, that's why I want to do the show with you, because I feel like we'll have some deep, meaningful conversations there. I made that sound so dramatic, but you know what I mean. Like I like our chemistry.
Yeah, no, you did make it sound so dramatic.
I did. Okay, so I'm playing Pal World, like apparently a million other people, according to Steam, because I guess it's like the number one. Like I guess it set some record. It's like the number one played game.
Concurrently played. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm going to say it. The developer, Pokemon with guns, is how it's being described, and that's true to a point because yes, you can equip them with guns. Some of the Palmon is what they're called, but it's like late in the. It's like you got to get high level for all of that shit. Like I'm level, I think 15, and it's a lot more arc. With Pokemon creatures or Pokemon-like creatures, I guess, because it has base building. You have to, you don't have to drink water, but you have to make sure that you eat. So you have to monitor your food. You have to monitor your pals' food. Just like in Ark, like the Palmons roam around the gigantic map like the dinosaurs do. So I mean, some of them will mind you or leave you alone. It's because when you're walking by, others will attack you on sight, and others will like run from you. So they have different traits like that. You catch them in your pal spheres. I'm gonna tell you right now because I streamed some of this. I've been playing it with my wife. All this stuff that's like Pokemon, I call it by the Pokemon name. I'd be like, oh, damn, I got to go back to base and make some more Pokeballs. I know Nintendo probably going to sue me because I'd be like, oh, shit, there's a Pikachu. It's not a Pikachu. It's like a Elabuzz or Jabuzz or something. I don't know. But it shot electricity and it was little and yellow and it had a black lightning bolt. It's very close to Pikachu. So that's what I called it. Which I guess I'm the problem. Like, but anyway, it's more arc. With those creatures, it has the you collect the creatures, they can fight with you. But what it does have that I found is that it has dungeons. the map is huge. So as you explore, there's dungeons that have bosses at the end of them, which some of the bosses, actually, I think all of the bosses can be caught. I don't know if they kind of respawn these dungeons because it's on a timer. Like when you go to it, there's like a timer ticking down. The one we found, so they had like 9 minutes left. And we went in there and got fucked up. So we haven't gone back yet. So I don't know if they like appear in random parts of the map or what. But that was kind of neat. Like it has, the glider kind of thing. You can build a glider. Some of the Palmons that's on your team will turn into a glider if you put the right harness on there. I don't know. Gameplay wise, like I said, it's very much Ark. If you don't like those survival type games, you're not going to like this. Sure, you might be like, "Oh, Pokemon with guns sounds dope," but it's not just that. It's you have to build a base. You have to expand. The Palmons work at the base, so you can have them building stuff or gathering supplies and stuff for you while you're out adventuring, collecting other ones. But the base building and stuff is a very central part of the game. So if you don't like that kind of survival stuff, fuck the Pokemon. You're not the Palmon, whatever. You're not gonna dig this. But so that's the gameplay. Let's talk about the art.
Oh Christ!
Half of it looks like the not the god damn it, what's on the Unreal demos that you see, like, I made Pokemon in Unreal, and somebody goes, hire this man, and the other half looks like Pokemon.
Yeah,
Like-
it's. I will never not argue that these motherfuckers are Pokemon-esque. Like some of them look damn near real close. Like the one, I haven't seen it in the game, but I know there's a lot of pictures of it running around. The one that, and this was my Pokemon that I used in Sword and Shield. Cinnabunny, Cinnace, whatever. The bunny soccer player one, whatever. There's it's like a grass version, I guess, in Palmon, but it looks very similar in design. Which is why I think everybody is saying that they probably use some AI for some shortcuts, because AI just, you feed a bunch of, design examples, as I understand it. You feed a bunch of design examples in there, and the computer says, okay, I'll make it look like this. And all it did was just kind of Picasso all your stuff together. So, I don't know. I enjoy the gameplay, but if it gets shut down or they get in trouble for infringement or something like that, it won't surprise me. But as y'all have heard me say on the show, I'm here for a good time, not a long time, especially at my old age as I've gotten older. So yeah.
Well, I'm also here for a good time, which is why I deleted this game.
To me, it's just, I don't know. Like, I get it. I don't like sounding like I'm simping for a $1 billion corporation. I'm not. The reality is that this leads to bigger problems for all of us if Nintendo starts suing. You might say, well, if they used AI, like if Nintendo can prove that like they used AI and fed it a bunch of Pokemon images, like case closed, in my opinion. But if not, I think it puts everybody that does make their own like fake Pokemon and then maybe does something different with it, like we view it as this monster collecting series, but Pokemon is a bunch of stuff. Like, what if somebody makes a mystery dungeon sort of game, which is just Rogue essentially, and I mean that in the truest sense. What's to stop Nintendo and the Pokemon Company and Creatures Inc. and all the I think those are the three. Oh no, Game Freak, to start looking at those things as well. Like, there aren't a lot of Pokemon Snap ripoffs, but if you want to do one, now we might be at a bigger risk because some asshole decided to step, too close to the line that we just kind of all acknowledge but don't cross by literally ripping off Pokemon designs. I can source most of the parts of Pokemon, of the Power World creatures from Pokemon, and I don't know every Pokemon. I mean, I don't know what's in Sword, Shield. Yeah, exactly. There's over like 1,000.
Yeah.
That. Like, I know the first 100. Actually, I know the probably first 200.
151.
And then, like, I maybe know like whatever the Diamond and Pearl numbers are. and I still recognize bits and pieces. And it's like, if I recognize it, do you not think the people that own the property you're ripping off is going to notice? Again, like, this is what ends up screwing over creativity. This is why things like it's anytime you give a corporation a reason to go to court, like, they are going to make sure they don't go to court again. And like, that's how, we end up pushing copyright so long, right? Like, the idea of copyright is to make sure that the thing you create is protected so no one can rip you off. But that's only really helpful in your lifetime, and then it goes however many years after. And if you get bought by, like, if you sell whatever you made to a corporation, now they own those rights, and it limits creativity. Sherlock Holmes, because the family had the rights still, has been a nightmare to work with, which is the reason why it's Herlock Sholmes in Capcom's great Ace Attorney Chronicles. It's Sherlock Holmes in Japan, but when they localized it, they didn't want to have to potentially fight the family on that. So it limits creativity with characters that have a myth. Like, it's basically, there's a line between myth and like ripping something off. Like, Drew in our chat brought up the fact that Dragon Ball Z is more like Superman at the beginning than it is Journey to the West, which is what Dragon Ball was, just a retelling of. And that's fine. It's fine to be inspired by things. But there's enough differences to kind of acknowledge. And if you're not looking at the gameplay of Power World, it is just Pokemon with guns. And again, any reason why you are like, I don't know why you would poke the bear. That's all.
Hold on. I have two things because I'm old and I'll forget. So one, I don't think you're simping for a company. I think you're simping, just using your words, for artists. I think that you're looking out for, because you're in this world, you're a part of this. Like, I think that you are looking at the potential dangers of this and like, hey, I don't want, somebody to come for me if I decide, what I mean? I think that's what that is. The other thing, who gets to decide was the point I was making before. So if AI is, you put source images in here and it gets spit out, and this AI built this, and say my son who draws, and he's a graphical artist who never got into Pokemon, but he knows about it and he's seen some stuff because I've watched it, and he whatever, but he draws something that is similar, you know what I mean, and it's not Pikachu, but it's similar. So who gets to decide if his thing was, oh, that's just pieces of Pokemon you put together,
I think there's
as
a
opposed to
difference.
what AI
What's
did?
going to end up happening is what there's going to end up needing to be, if this goes down the path that everybody thinks it's going to go down, and people still want to respect copyright, and that is still something that exists, is it's going to end up as weird of a connection as this sounds to make, it's going to end up something like consumer loan underwriting, where you're going to have, if you're going to have a model that produces images or characters or something that you copyright, if you're going to have an AI model that produces those things, then you're going to have to track the inputs and outputs of that model, because that's what, and again, I know it sounds like a weird connection, but in consumer loan underwriting, you have to track all the inputs and outputs of any credit model that you use, because they want to make sure that there's no discrimination, and they want to make sure that you're not feeding attributes into a model that would cause your model to discriminate against specific individuals. And it's going to end up being the same thing here. If you're going to use, if you want to be able to copyright material that was created with AI, and then you're going to have to probably keep track of what your model is sourcing as inputs to make sure no one else's copyrighted material is included. And that's what's now that we're going to get bogged down in a conversation about bureaucracy stifling innovation. But the answer to your question is that if it's going to be policed, that's what's going to end up having to happen. We can there are arguments to be had on every side about whether that's something that's appropriate or not. What I'll say is that AI and automation, when it was originally envisioned and sort of sold to the populace, was a way that people would be able to get their work done easier and not have to work so hard. And instead, all it's done so far, basically, is replace people, cost people their jobs, and everything's still expensive. So, until it stops being that way, I'm going to err on the side of the human people that are making stuff like this on a daily basis. But and Anthony, to your point about Nintendo going after everybody else, you're probably right. There is a slippery slope aspect to this conversation, but the reality is there's a big difference between hey, we made a game that's about collecting monsters, and hey, we made a game that's about collecting monsters where we literally sourced your IP to create our own.
I agree with that. I want to just say quickly that, like, I guess I was implying that. I wasn't implying that all monster collection games were going to get screwed, but the ones that are closer to being confused with Pokemon, the more dangerous it is. Like, I think Digimon and like Dragon Quest monsters are different enough clearly to the public that it wouldn't be something that Nintendo would go after because it's clearly its own brand.
Right. Yeah. But no, I think it's a conversation that we're going to be seeing and hearing a lot about over the next several years, because especially with SAG authorizing AI voice acting, it's you want to talk about a slippery slope, right? We're getting to the point where like I said, instead of using all this stuff to automate tasks that people used to have to do and make everybody's lives easier while still allowing them to make a living, we've decided that it's okay. This isn't even a hypothetical. We have literally decided that it's okay if artificial intelligence replaces human beings when it comes to creative work. And not only is that bad for human creative work, at least paid human creative work, obviously human creative work will continue, but the downside is that eventually the AI is going to run out of shit to copy, because it's the same thing. So again, so credit modeling is part of what I do, so that everything comes back to that. But there are dangers with machine learning when it relates to modeling, because the model will eventually train itself to itself. And the same thing happens here. We're already seeing it with the AI image creators and stuff, where instead of just training themselves on human created art, it's self-replicating and training itself on AI created art, which tends to create the same or similar image over and over again, and B, just like inbreeding with humans, creates suboptimal results. And I think, there's a wire to be walked here with respect to, if you're a fan of AI and what it can mean to creative avenues, even still, you got to walk a wire, because if you use AI to replace most paid human creation, then what's going to end up happening is your AI is going to run out of shit to model. It's going to be real interesting.
All right.
Quickly before we move on, I want to say, like, for a moment, though, let's just kind of, even though that I am going to assume just based on the look and design and the fact that they've ripped off Zelda in one of their previous games, like 2AT, let's just assume for a second that this is somebody actually made these. Somebody sat down and made these monsters. And I'm not critiquing the ability of that person. Like they look legitimate. That's a talent. If someone made this and they look like things that are actually Pokemon, like that is a talent, and I do want to recognize that. However, how would that same person feel if I then took what they did and then did the same thing with it? Right? Do you think Pal World would give me the same leeway they have given themselves with a known property? Right? Like, they are ripping off Pokemon. What can I rip off Pal World? Well, they just did a bunch of sales. If I started cutting into that whatsoever, or even let's even say cut into it, because that implies I'm stealing away customers. Say customers are also buying my game and it's making a lot of money. Do you not think that they would get upset? Like, that's the reason why I kind of say there's just kind of this code to being an artist that, like, mistakes are going to happen. But when you hear of general, like, controversy that isn't just between, like, artists as people, but artists as artists, it's usually from people ripping people off and not just going, you know what, my bad. Like, it happens. There's parallel thinking. There's really, it's funny because we're talking about this, and last year H Bomber Guy's big video wasn't him taking down Tommy Tallarico. It was him talking about plagiarism. Tomska, the guy who did all the Asdiff movies, put out a great video called Tomska's Guide to Plagiarism, where he kind of covers that there's layers to this. So I don't want to just say, like, fuck them, because they have made their own game. And, people are enjoying the gameplay, not just the look. But at the same time, like, what brought in people to play the game in the first place? And it's a more difficult conversation that I think would have to take hours. And I don't think you'd ever get a concrete answer. It's the same with kind of like, did Robin Thicke, I disagree with this, but did Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines rip off Marvin Gaye? I don't hear it. But when put into a courtroom and had laymen listen to it, and they decided it sounded similar enough, now it's a detriment to everybody. Like, if they had just kind of recognized, like, maybe we're trying for a Marvin Gaye sound, and kind of try to pull back and make it their own. Like, there's enough court cases in music that if you follow it, like the Flaming Lips were listening to a lot of Cat Stevens at one point in time, and when they wrote Fight Test, it sounds just like a Cat Stevens song, so much that Cat Stevens sued. Sorry, I apologize. He goes by Yusef now, but it's a Cat Stevens song when he was using that name. And they had to give him writing credit, and the court was right in that opinion. It is a difficult conversation to determine what is stolen outright and what is inspired by.
So yeah, what you're describing though is feeding an AI.
Well, I'm still operating off of
I know.
the idea that they are not AI.
I know. Yeah, I know. But there's a difference between as a human being, I heard something or saw something 30 years ago. It's been implanted in my subconscious ever since. And I go to create something and it has a passing similarity to something else, right? And you're right. In the music industry specifically, that usually ends up being resolved either legally or not legally by adding a writer's credit, right? In that case, or in this case, we haven't seen anybody, I don't think, and I haven't been following this that closely, if it is a human creative, right? There's been a lot of people talking about this game over the last couple days and where the designs come from. And we haven't seen a human creator come out, as far as I'm aware, yet and say, obviously, I've played a lot of monster games, including Dragon Quest Monsters and including Pokemon games. And obviously, I'm inspired by those types of games, which is why we made this one. And but any similarities are purely by chance, right? That they've been, I think, pretty quiet so far.
Yeah.
So I agree with your comparison, but I don't think it's a perfect parallel.
No, I'm just saying I'm just trying to acknowledge that there is nuances. So I'm not coming off as like somebody who's I'm not trying to put anybody, to the stake. Like, I'm not really trying to say like these people should be sued. I'm just saying like there is this sort of danger when we start playing so close to this. Especially with new technologies like AI, that I think it's a deep conversation that I don't think I am personally able to kind of give a definitive answer.
Right.
I can tell you how I feel, but that's not going to help you figure out the law any better and maybe even determine new laws about this. I just think it's very dangerous and that this is going to cause more problems outside of just Pal World. Because if it was just a Pal World problem, okay, I mean, games get stuff gets DMCA'd all the time, right? Like, how many fake Mario games, like that stupid Mario that at CES there should have been DMCA'd on the spot, the weird hologram AI thing. Like, that's the point where it's like, that's kind of obviously just theft. This is right before that, I think. And it's like, I don't know, like there's a lot to this. Like, it doesn't play like Pokemon, really, right? Like, yeah, you make Pokeballs, but like it is a survival game. Like, that's not Pokemon. Pokemon doesn't have anything like that. So I don't. There's a lot of moving parts, and I just don't think like a conversation is going to get fully down to it. But I think it's also important to have, and I just don't want to be so blinded to the other side.
Yeah, I think the conversation's gotten to the point where, and fair or unfair, I think the conversation's gotten to the point where somebody from that company is going to have to address where they landed. They did? Okay.
Well, it's in this. So I put it on our thing. It just popped up actually while we were talking. The guy, if you go to the article, you have to translate it because it's written in their language. But they explain about creating the models and their path to it and stuff. I skimmed some of it, but they address some of these stuff. So I guess this will probably end up going around as their you know, excuse. Not even excuse. I don't know. Proof. I don't even know. But yeah, the only thing, like I said before, that worries me with the AI thing as a writer, artist, or whatever. Like, my book is a noir story that has a black private eye, a detective, all right there, Shaft, we got, right? And then, I'm a big Elmore Leonard fan. So we're going to, compare it to Be Cool and some of the, those other books, because I'm sure I got influenced and stuff, in some of the stuff that I'm writing. So how do we say that, oh, well, he just put that stuff in there and AI spit that out. He put his name on it. Like this slope is just so slippery.
But if there's a person attached, I'd be like, it says, Lord Magnus wrote this book, and I'm like, man, I'm a fan of, this. And then I go to Twitter and I go, hey, man, are you a fan of this? I was reading this part of your book. And you go, yeah, man, I am. I must have just added that, like, just because I love that series. Because I don't think you would intentionally go in ripping it off. And if you did, say, like, at the end of the day, you accidentally stumbled into, like, ripping something off, like, way more than you thought you did. You're a human. You apologize and you make it right, and then we move on with our lives, right? Like, when you're a corporation putting out a big game and it's potentially AI generated, we're now running into there's like no person to go to. It's a faceless corporation, even though it will have faces because someone has to talk. But like, right. Making a ton of money, running just like images into a machine that just pumps out new things. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of moving parts. I don't like this future. I don't like AI. I'm very skeptical of all this. It just sounds like a nightmare. I'm worried that like people that like there's a full cottage industry of people they draw like hyper realistic anime girls for comic book covers, and boy, that just can go away now because you can just AI generate pictures and they look like that,
Yeah.
right?
See, and that's
Art
one of the
term.
things. Yeah, that was one of the things we were talking about. Like I'll always pay for art. Like I told you, like and that I guess is the part I'm worried about because I've seen some AI art. And yeah, I'm like, oh, that looks cool, but nah. But like I don't know, something about somebody's hand drawn, like your boy that drew them cards. Like man, that shit is fire. Like I've commissioned a bunch of paintings that I have around here from different artists that I've seen on Twitter. Like man, that's great. Can you draw me this in your style? Like I don't know. It just
But today's
there's
the
no like
last
Ryan
day.
said. Hmm.
Today's the last day the tech is gonna be this bad,
Right,
right?
right.
So that's also a concern.
Yeah,
So to me, it's just like this is going to be more and more possible to the point where they're probably going to have some jank. Like, there's always going to be something that's going to cue us, like, just be like, hey, that looks AI generated. But then some people will draw with, like, or create stuff with those same quirks, and then we'll be accusing them. And it's just going to cause problems, and it's going to cause problems with this, and it's going to cause problems with copyright, and that's all. That's just kind of my, at the end of the day, that's the point I'm making. Like, this is a copyright problem, and copyright's already messy and shitty enough and like abused by big corporations, and this just seems like like giving them another excuse to really just fuck everybody.
Yeah, so I'm reading this article, Terrence, that you sent,
oh, I
and
skimmed it. Did you? Okay, go ahead.
it number one, it doesn't paint a great picture.
Yeah, from what I read, it
'Cause,
didn't. Like
yeah,
it.
most of the article is about how they didn't really know what they were doing, that they had
Yep.
previously bought all their models, and that they had never really built anything in house, and they realized that it took uh, forever to build one character, and they had 100 to build, so they hired a guy who was um, already talented that taught them what a rig was in animation, and so that helped them. But when you get to the part about the artist, and listen, I don't know who this artist is, so I hope that um, uh, everything is all legit here. But there again, this person could just be a super talent, right? But as I'm reading through here, there's some red flags to me. And I'll use they because the translation switches back and forth between he and she, so I'm not sure which to use, so I'll use they instead. It says the person who designs PAL, the current face of PAL World, is a recent graduate. They were originally rejected. Then they were still looking for an artist, so they came back. This person was rejected by 100 companies before they started drawing the characters in PAL World. This is the part that's a red flag to me. And again, maybe it's just a bad translation, or it's just the person's incredibly talented. So I'm just going to read this verbatim. First of all, it draws incredibly fast. It's the fastest I've ever seen. If you're bad at it, it's 4 or 5 times faster. Feedback, corrections, etc. are really fast. If you give them proper instructions, they'll be back in a minute.
Oh god.
That's
AI.
So I have no resistance to English at all. He also knows what kind of things are popular overseas. I can say definitively that because of her, I was able to complete 100 PAL designs. It's surprising that nearly 100 companies overlooked this talent.
See,
So
I'm reading that too, and it's weird because my translation translated some of the words that you were reading differently than how you read it. But it reads like the top part that he's referring to, or whoever they are referring to, a female that was
yeah.
hired, who is the artist that was working on. But it does make it seem like, whereas first of all, frighteningly fast to draw, it makes it seem like they're talking about a computer. But I think they're saying this
So I know
graduate.
The person, right?
Yeah,
I
is
know the
doing
scam.
this.
I know the scam. So my I'm not saying, sorry, let me rephrase this. I know what's
Too late. Too late,
being
Anthony.
said. Well, what's being said? Here's the thing. I'm not actually accusing Palworld of scamming.
Hmm.
I believe them. I believe though that they don't realize that the artist is using AI. So the reason why I say that is because my DM Sam, who actually wrote a review for the site once, he went to the art gallery in the city I used to live in, and he was walking around, and he
Is
walked up.
Ken still here?
Ken's ordering pizza for football.
Right.
At this point, and he walked up to this piece and he said, "Oh, I need to talk to the curator about this." It was this giant cat portrait. He's like, "So tell me about the artist." And she went on about it. He's amazing. You know, he'll do custom ones for you too. He'll go in and he'll change the colors. You can get this one in green or whatever. And Sam at the end of it just went, "You do know these are AI generated, right?" Like he's just generate, like, because it was this big metal print, so it was a metal plate and then the print was on top of it, and the curator did not realize he was AI artist. And like, it shows, I went to this guy's website, all his handmade stuff looks very different and he doesn't have a lot of it, but his cat portraits that are definitely something he created in Photoshop and not AI, wow, those are the big things that he's showing on his site. So the trick is that the artist, "Oh, I'm really talented," and then the people were probably rejecting them because they were like, "This is AI generated." Because that's the big thing right now, is a bunch of AI people like to call themselves artists because they can prompt well. I swear to God, that's the sell. It's like, "No, I'm a really good artist." It's like, because I can just tell the AI certain words and get what I want right away, instead of having to go through and keep generating images over and over and over and slowly getting there. Like, there is a skill to like being able to use Google, is essentially
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah. So again, I know nothing about this person, and my hope is that I'm completely wrong. I've been wrong before. My hope is that I'm completely wrong, and this is a real person who's just excellent at design, who has, like Anthony mentioned with some music people, been inspired by Pokemon and their designs over the years, and just can really quickly create character designs. That said, again, if the translation of this article is accurate, there are red flags in studio that is over budget, pressed for time, in over their heads, don't really know how to create models or animate. Finding an artist who 100 other people have already passed over, who is really quick at creating models and really quick at making changes, or not models, designs, really quick at making a whole bunch of designs and really quick at making edits to those designs if requested. There are red flags in that. If they're, if it's like Anthony describes, which is kind of what I think too, that maybe this artist they found that is a generational talent that everybody else passed up on might be using tools that the company doesn't know that they're using. It's possible. That's sort of where my head goes, but I don't know this person, so I don't know if that's true or not. There are red flags, is all I'm saying. I hope that I'm wrong. Like I said, I hope that it's a real person who's doing a fantastic job, and the game is successful. So good for them. But there are red flags in this article to me.
Yeah, if you read
In this
whole
translation
thing,
of this article, let me say.
yeah, because like I said, my translation of it, because I'm in Microsoft Edge, my translation is some of the words that you were reading, like it was using different words than what I had. But I kind of skimmed the rest, and it kind of, this whole article reads like what Anthony was talking about, because there's a part on here where they're like, yeah, there are games like Nintendo, and they can make these big worlds really quickly, and we had looked at that, and they talk about, where is it, right here, in Power World, unlike Arc, and they go through the different things where it's different from Arc, and they talk about being in, having the game having novelty that's different from Breath of the Wild and Genshin Impact. All the games that it looks like something like it looks like they touch upon in this, if this translation is right by all these words, that they're, I guess, kind of trying to say that they were inspired by. But again, I don't know. This whole thing is a lot, and we done talked about this for an hour. And we
Yeah,
only
this
on the
just
first
feels
game.
like it's gonna be a
God damn.
nightmare that
Yeah.
that echoes throughout. I think that's my biggest. At the end of the day, that's my biggest concern is that this is gonna cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's about to be multiverses all over again, nigga. This game about to have to, we about to shut down until we actually get the game, because this is the early access. It's not even like out. This ain't 1.0.
Well,
This is early access for this.
The good news is the game has sold so well that we're going to get answers to these questions sooner rather than later. It's not.
True.
It's not going to be.
sure.
It's not going to be very long before
more
we
of the-
find out definitively. Was it human designed or was it not human designed? And we're going to get those answers. No,
It's
the
the aftermath.
was a
I'm worried
game-
about.
if this was a game that sold 500,000 copies and was like a niche title, that we wouldn't even be having this conversation for the last 50 minutes. But
Right.
the
But
fact that
sold
it's
4
over,
million.
it's over, 4 million sold, and it's
In
on
3
Game Pass.
days.
Yeah,
Like,
the questions are going to come. We're going to get answers from people who are actual journalists and not just nerds sitting behind a computer like us. And we'll all have answers a week from now. And we may all feel silly for this conversation, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I won't feel silly because I ain't said nothing.
Yeah, you ain't said nothing because you're a coward, Kenneth.
No,
You're a
no, I'm
coward.
not a coward. I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, Ken heard it was a game he didn't want to play, and it was dead to him immediately.
Oh, 100%. Like I don't give a fuck about Pokemon with guns. Whatever, man.
No, I was thinking more of Ken starts it up, like, punch a tree, and he went, nope!
Oh, dude, I will tell you, 100% my experience, I booted it up. I'm like, oh, this got some Zelda vibes. I climbed a wall, I punched a sheep, and then it said you need to eat, and I was like, delete.
Yeah, and that's when it goes into the Ken's shit list.
Yep.
He just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's gone. It's out of my world.
He just dumped it right on top of
my
Shenmue.
stuff real quick, because I ain't gonna talk. So I played some more Evil Dead that surprisingly that has an audience. So I don't know if it went free on something or what, but I'm getting in matches pretty quickly. Played some more of the finals, messed around in Prince of Persia. I found the Architect. I have not found all the puzzles. Oh my god, that map is just ginormous, sir.
Man, I finished Prince of Persia, and I've been going back. My biggest complaint about that game is that like it tells you you're missing shit, but I wish like there was a way that it would kind of tell me where it's at.
Yes, because there is nothing and like you think like you walk into a room, because this happened to me a couple times. I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? This is like a puzzle. I bet I get over there, and then you get over there, it's just a Xerxes coin, and you're like, son of a bitch! Like I just had to make jumps. I had to change the dimension to avoid spinning pillars of spikes that are coming at me. I had to use my dash and my teleport. Like I had to put so much together for a Xerxes coin. I was so mad.
I bought this. I've not played this game, but I bought this game because of the way you two were talking about it. I mean, it's gotten great reviews everywhere.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's a
so
great game.
I gotta be pretty happy about that too. But like, yeah, I picked it up on Switch because I know it runs well there, and I'm like, yeah, I want another Metroidvania on my Switch. The shifting sounds like something else. There was a Metroidvania where you shifted between two dimensions.
Yeah, it's Guacamelee did it.
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
Oh, yes, man. Oh my god, it was bothering me so much. Yes, Guacamelee.
Guacamelee got
also one of the best games. God damn.
It is great, but by the end of Guacamelee, between shifting and having the specific attacks, it becomes a little too much.
Yeah, you have to. Was that? I don't remember that being as much of a case in Guacamelee, but Guacamelee 2 was like that for sure.
The late game Guacamelee was like that, where you had all three colors and the shifting.
Yeah, you had to shift. You had to shift and then like uppercut. And then, I remember that.
That it became like it was great for like the first 3 quarters, but the last leg of that game is a lot.
That's what that whole. You know what? Now that I think about it, like take the combat out of Guacamelee and the shifting, I guess too, because that's not there, and that's what that Disney Illusion Island is as a Metroidvania. Like it's the same sort of like a lot of jumping and like stringing combos basically to get certain places.
Man, their other game is one of my favorites. The Mutant Blobs game. I love that fucking game.
Oh, is it? I've never played it. It came free with
like
Guacamelee. I never
Oh,
played
it's
it.
so good.
I like
good.
Severed.
Yeah, that game was awesome.
Severed was really good. That was them as well.
Severed was good. Yeah, I played that. Severed was good. But yeah, so I'm going 100% Prince. I'm like at 55% right now. I get like achievement wise.
Oh, I thought I was gonna say,
achievement.
dude, I'm at like 67%. What are you talking about?
Yeah, the last time I looked at it, I was like, it was close to 70. Where I was like, I unlocked a couple of new sides. Like I went all the way back to the beginning because you can get through there now.
Yeah, I
see
did
what was
that.
over there.
I did
Oh,
that
okay, cool.
because I was trying to find shit in the game, and I was like, well, if I go back to the beginning, maybe there's some shit here.
Me
but
too.
Nope.
Yep. Yeah, because I'm like looking for stuff. Because I looked at the achievement list and there's a couple of things I won't talk about, but I was like, oh, what? So I'm like trying to find where this stuff is, and this map is just so big. But that game is good. Like the combat and just the fluidity of the movements.
That game will. I would be
damn,
shocked
good.
if that game's not on my list at the end of the year.
Oh, same. I messed with played some Monster Hunter Rise because my son asked me to play some Dauntless, so I played that with him, and I was like, man, we should play some Monster Hunter Rise, and I'm trying to get him onto that. He probably won't get into it for real. Play some more Everspace 2. Ryan, did you ever get into that? You ever check that out? Oh, you killed Ryan.
No,
okay,
I did not.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. No, I have not. I have not played it yet. At some point, it's on the list, but I got so much stuff that I'm trying to catch up on that it has not risen to the top yet.
I got you. I don't know if they ever put the Game Pass stuff on Steam Deck. I think it might be playable on deck, so it might be something you can play on the go, which would be kind of cool. Yeah, I think that's probably pretty much it. I played some stuff that I wrote reviews for because the reviews were overdue, so I had to refresh myself on the games. So that, but yeah, outside of that, it's pretty much just been a lot of Power World. Good or bad. I like the gameplay. So yeah, but it's pretty much. Oh, I played Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. That I don't know how the first one played because I didn't play that.
I'll talk about it.
Oh, okay, cool. That game is fun, and it's pretty funny too. I didn't realize. Actually, it's not what I expected, but okay, that's all I got.
All right, Anthony. Well, go ahead. Talk about your Turnip Boys.
Turnip Boy. So I played a little bit of the original when it came out. I didn't realize like it's only about 3 hours long, so it's short.
Oh, wow.
But like it's a Zelda-like game. Man.
This one is not.
Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. I am close to finishing it. Okay, so I'm gonna explain the first game's kind of charm. The first game is really smart. Like it is, the way it's presented is great. It's got a lot of dark humor. It's also very funny. There's a lot more writing in the original game. Its Zelda-like elements don't really shine in the combat. That was never the big thing. But there's a lot of cool puzzles. However, there's a lot of lore in the original game. You kind of find out why everybody's vegetables. It gets dark.
Wait, in this one? You find that out in this one?
This is Turnip Boy commits tax evasion.
Okay.
Which is the original game. And I mean, it's one of those like, yep, this is a perfect little indie game. Like, is it a 10 out of 10? No. But like 8 out of 10, yeah, like it doesn't stay around too long. It's got some really great music. I think the art was great in the original. So when I say this, please understand that like I liked Turnip Boy from the beginning. I have gone back and finished the first game finally, and like upon playing Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, the first thing I know is that like it plays like every other twin stick roguelike. Have you played Nuclear Throne?
Ken just turned it off.
Yeah. Oh, I already warned Ken. Don't worry.
Yep.
Football.
I said, don't play this. It's a roguelike, I think.
I mean, that's all
I
you
can't
got.
remember
All you got
exactly.
to do is say
And
rogue,
he's
and
like,
I'm out.
I'm like, don't play Turnip Boy. It's a rogue. And he's like, okay. It's not really, but it is. It's that's the problem. So it plays like Enter the Gungeon or Nuclear Throne, but like it's not a full roguelike. The bank has always got the basic setup still. It's just the elevators that change, and sometimes a little few placements of objects. But the bank is always the same. The rooms are always the same. And the idea is that you hit a block, you make enough money, you then go back to your base because you don't have a ton of time before the cops start showing up, and you buy a new item on the darknet and some power-ups, and then you go back in and you get a little bit further in the bank. Think Luigi's Mansion, I guess, in a way. It is technically a mess. Like, I have had slowdown. Apparently this is an issue on Switch as well, which I played the first original Turnip Boy on Switch. It doesn't have any issues. I'm playing it on the Xbox One. It was having real bad issues. It had a day one patch that is better, but if I go into I have not been able. There's a like you open up a little phone and that's your menu, and there's one for like your missions because there's side missions and unlock hats for Turnip Boy. That has never worked properly. The writing just isn't as good. It's kind of going for pure jokes, which is how the first game starts but does not finish. Like that first game has a lot of heart too. It has better jokes. Like I would argue that I had bigger laughs with Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, but its sort of absurdist humor is not appealing to me. What 6-7 years after Enter the Gungeon came out? Like Enter the Gungeon is so perfectly stupid that everything is bullets. Everything is based around guns. It's funny. There's no reason for this to be a bank because outside of like the initial area, it's not a bank at all. It's just rooms that have a different theme. The final sort of boss sucks. At that, I died, and then it's a boss rush, and then you have to activate 4 things, and if you die while you're activating those 4 things, it's a boss rush, and it's not a boss rush like just one after the other. No, you have to go through the bank to each boss room, and it's just like a lot of this game is just padding. It was like I built a bank, and you have to keep going through that area over and over and over again instead of just putting a new area. The art doesn't look as good as the original Turnip Boy, and I'm seeing scores of like 6 and 7s, or sorry, 7s and 8s, and I'm thinking like best 5, 6. Like this would have been cool a decade ago when this was still sort of a fresh idea, but like it's not as good as games we got years ago, and it's not as funny, and it's just like it doesn't live up to what Turnip Boy was either. I don't want to spoil Turnip Boy because it like goes on sale for like dirt cheap. Like right now it's probably $2 on Steam or something, and it is worth your time. But like the sequel's just okay. It feels like a cash in though, and I know it's an indie dev, so like I'm so glad that indie dev is doing well. I'm glad that people are probably going to buy this. I'm glad Turnip Boy can exist, but like to me, this just feels like the capitalism rolling in over the nice thing we had. And not done in a way that feels like it's, acknowledging that, which Turnip Boy, the first game, has enough sense of humor and like is smart enough to kind of do something like that. And it seems like they totally didn't even think about doing that for this when it would have fit perfectly. I mean, his first game is committing tax evasion. Like the second game should all about be like selling out, right? And it doesn't feel like a sellout. Like in that way, it doesn't feel like obvious that they're acknowledging it. It just feels like, wow, you just kind of just took this character and just did a thing with it that has nothing to do with the original. The other game I'm playing is Another Code Recollection. Another Code is one of the first games I bought on the DS. I don't remember what the European name was, but it was Trace Memory over here. And it used a lot of the DS features. Like, everybody play the Zelda DS games? Like, I'm not gonna.
Was that the no,
There's
those
Phantom
weren't the
Hourglass
seasons.
and no, that there's Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
Did
Spirit Tracks I played.
Spirit Tracks is not my favorite.
Yeah, it's not my favorite either.
No, but there was, you know how there was like that moment where like you had to close the DS to solve a puzzle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Trace Memory did this like at the launch of the DS, because it was a while before we got a Zelda game. And so like it was kind of mind blowing, and it was also kind of my first visual novel. I'd played point and click adventures, which are very similar, but this was more, the Japanese take on that. It was quite interesting, and so years later, I was looking up Wii games that didn't come out over here, and one of them was Another Code R, which was the sequel to Trace Memory, and we just never got it. So I was quite upset, but I mean, like, I didn't want to go through the work of modding a Wii to play it.
You should
Which I
never
would have
mod
had to
your
do.
Wii.
Sorry?
You should never mod your Wii.
Oh,
Leave
God
it as
damn
God intended.
I don't have what do I do now, Ken? How do I go back to anything that was normal? Okay. Anyways, so I was really excited when this collection got announced, because now I'm gonna be able to play the second game. But what's crazy is that because the first game was like top down on the DS, like it used DS features, they actually remade Trace Memory into a fully 3D game. So playing it through, it's been almost 20 years probably since the game came out when I got it, which is weird to think, because 20 years ago should be longer ago, should be in the 90s. Anyways, I just can't believe, like, seeing some of these areas I do remember from the game realized in the way they are, and the game looks beautiful. Like, I think it might be the prettiest looking game on Switch. Now, it's not having to do anything crazy, right? Like Mario or Zelda, like those are a big game. There's a lot of action, and it's got to move fast and everything. This is a very slow paced game, and it can kind of be what it is. But they do the dialogue between characters in like comic panels, so it kind of looks like a manga, and you get to see how like they've colored it in, and it looks exactly like, because the company that originally made Trace Memory was Cing, Cing, and they made also like Hotel Dusk, and they had a very unique art style between Hotel Dusk and Trace Memory, which they eventually brought to Chase Cold Case Investigations on 3DS. And to see, I don't know the artist's name, but to see their style realized in 3D like this for the first time, it's like kind of amazing that they did such a good job. Like, I'm like, wow, that's exactly how I remember it too. Like, the puzzles and just some of the moments early on, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. And this is how I remember it, even though it wasn't in the angle that I'm seeing it in now. Like, I would have seen it from the top down. I don't know. It's just kind of brilliant that this game can make me feel like that. I do wish, though, and this is kind of a minor complaint, because I know that like Trace Memory comes before the game we never got, chronologically. They don't let you pick the game you're playing. They make, like, it's a collection, but it's actually one game. Like they don't allow you to, like it's kind of like if you played the Metal Gear Solid Ultimate Collection that they just released, and they made you play Metal Gear Solid 1 first, or actually better yet, Metal Gear for the MSX. Like you had to play that before you could play Metal Gear 2, before you could play Metal Gear Solid. That would be very weird. So it's weird that it's that way in this. But I have no complaints so far. And that's it.
All right. Wombat, you want to roll?
Sure. Yeah. So I have played. What have I played? I mean, really, not much.
Don't get your Wii modded. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I did not. I never
you don't wanna do
modded
that.
my Wii.
Yes, no good.
So let's see. Well, I finished Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Oh, did you like it?
So I really liked it. Yeah, I really liked
Like,
it.
I mean, like the ending was like satisfied. Did it like?
Yeah.
Like,
So,
okay.
so let me say that in two ways. So, as an ending to this game, I thought it was satisfying. And I thought that it there's something really cool that happens at the end that legit made me go, oh shit. But so as a self-contained game, I thought the ending was really good. As a tie-in to Valhalla, what I'll say is that it doesn't end where I would have wanted it to as a direct tie-in to Valhalla. And I'll say that it seems like they tried to make the ending somewhat vague, not super vague. If you finished Valhalla, it's very obvious sort of what's happening. But if you had never finished Valhalla, I feel like you could beat Mirage and you would be confused as to what's happening.
Gotcha.
So I have a question for
Because
you.
so much of, well, hold on, let me just say this
Yeah.
one last thing first. So much of Bassam's story is told in Valhalla that I can see why some of it wouldn't get the specificity here because they don't want to sort of rehash what they've already done. So it's hard for me as someone who finished Valhalla. For me, the ending's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's vague. I wish they had been a little more direct, but I know what's happening because I finished Valhalla.
Okay.
I'm curious how people who haven't finished Valhalla would have felt about the way it ends and whether or not they would have been confused about what was happening. So there's a light illusion. Well, I won't even say light. There's a big part of the story of the game that sort of hints to what happens to Basim in Valhalla, and they don't really directly talk about that until probably the last 30 minutes of the game. So like that's why I'm saying it doesn't exactly end where I expected it to carry right into Valhalla.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be a little bit
Yeah, I get it, and I appreciate it, but I'm following
cagey
because I
here,
finished
but
Valhalla, so I'm
yeah.
following. Okay.
So if you well, so this is not a spoiler, so I can say this without spoiling anything. Very early on in Valhalla, the way your character meets Basim is that Sigurd, your brother, met Basim while he was traveling in the Baghdad area. And I expected this game to end with those two meeting, and it does not. So if that's your expectation, you don't. There's nothing here that directly ties this game into Valhalla, like what I expected.
I expected that too, actually.
Is there going
From
to
the
be
ending.
DLC for this?
I don't think so. They have not said anything about DLC,
Okay.
and there's
Oh,
no
so there
season
wasn't like a
pass.
gold edition.
So
'Cause that usually
well,
says-
there is a deluxe edition, which is
Nah,
what I
it's-
have, but there's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no, gold edition that includes a season pass. Because as far as I know, there's no season pass.
Yeah, I think this is
Um,
just a one-off because they're doing like
That's what
4
I
games
thought.
at once.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was curious because like the moment there was there where it's like, oh, Ubisoft is saving the connecting piece for DLC.
Yeah, that doesn't appear to be the case. It appears that so maybe they plan to revisit that connective piece, but I don't think there's enough there to revisit it as a game or a DLC. I think it was just a purposeful decision. And what will likely end up happening is the next mainline Assassin's Creed game will address it in a roundabout way. Again, I'm trying to dance carefully here.
Yeah, I understand.
But I think probably the time period that I'm talking about will probably end up getting addressed, but it's not addressed in this game. This really does feel like a game that you could play and finish without ever playing Valhalla and still kind of feel like you got an ending, while also being having enough in it that if you did finish Valhalla, you can make the connection.
Now I realize I'm asking a question that you won't you won't know for sure, but do you think then kind of going through both of those games, playing Mirage before Valhalla would be better?
Absolutely not. No, I would play
Really?
Valhalla first. Yeah.
Even though you prefer the voice actor in Valhalla?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I would play Valhalla first because
Okay.
and again, I don't want to get too much into why.
No, I just was like pure curious of order. That's all.
Yeah. No, I would not. I would not. I would play Valhalla first if you're going to play one of the two. Yeah. So let's see what else. I played a decent amount more Baldur's Gate 3. That game continues to impress. I did find, and I was talking about this in our Discord, I did find the first time in 65 hours, I found a quest that is either bugged or just kind of wasn't finished with the same level of attention to detail that every other side quest I've played in this game has been done with. There's a quest. It's a side quest, not really important. But there's a quest that you get in Act 3 once you get into the city, and it appears, not just from my experience, but from what I've seen online, that the only way to finish it is kill everybody. And that's just not the case for every other quest that I've played. So I'm not in the way the mechanics of it go about are strange, because if you sneak in while invisible to the last place and try to talk to somebody, you can get like a one-off voice line, but as soon as they perceive that you're there, the entire building gets hostile. And so it just doesn't have the kind of nuance that you would expect. And unfortunately, the one clever way that I found to accomplish what needed to be accomplished caused my paladin to break his oath. So I had to go away from that and try again. But it again is a minor side quest. I tell you that to say that I followed it up with playing another quest that, by the way, is completely optional and one of about 5 different ways that a main story quest can get done. that is one of the most thrilling quests, like way more thrilling than you would expect in a turn-based game. So I won't spoil anything about the whats and wheres, except to say that you're tasked with rescuing about 10, probably 12 different people. 2 are important to the narrative. 10 can be, but aren't necessarily. And you have basically 8. If you're playing on easy, you have 8 turns. If you're playing on normal, you have 6 turns to basically get everybody and get them back. And it's something that I didn't expect in this game. And it is like I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, which is not, again, what you expect from a turn-based game. And it's mapped out perfectly, where I don't see, unless you were like I'm sure a speedrunner will find a way to do it, but it's built perfectly to make it so that if you get everybody and get back, it's probably going to happen with no turns left. So it was incredible. And to find a quest like that deep in the game on basically a side, I don't even want to call it a side quest, one possible option of 5 at completing a main story quest. And even within that sub option, it's one of probably 3 sub options, was incredible. So that game continues to amaze me. And it's making its way up my games of all time list, not just my games of the year list. So that it's just incredible, and I can't. It keeps getting better, which is also something that I didn't expect. The third act is tremendous. So yeah, it's quite an incredible game. I can't say too much more about it.
Have you made it to the city yet?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I am. I'm focusing on companion quests right now. But basically, I have. Again, I'm trying to walk the line here. I have what I need to be able to start the march towards the final battle.
Gotcha.
But I'm cleaning up other stuff before I start doing some of that.
Gotcha.
The final main missions. So yeah, I would guess I've probably, with the side content and stuff that I've got left, I've probably got 15 hours left. Maybe 10, but probably 15, just knowing the way that I play. Which I'll probably end up around 80 or 85 hours by the time it's all said and done. But I'm also trying my best to complete every companion quest in a single playthrough, which is not, well, let me say that, every companion that I can get in this playthrough, because there are some companions that are locked behind different decisions. Every companion that I can get in this playthrough, I'm trying to complete their side quests in this playthrough. So that's partially why I've got so many hours. I'm sure you could finish it much faster than that, but yeah. And then I think that's it in terms of stuff that I played, but that's probably enough.
All right. It's time for speed run. You ready for speed run?
Yeah.
I can't tell you shit about anything I'm playing.
And the news.
Unfortunately, yeah, I have to wait till next week. Most of the stuff I've been playing this week, I can't talk about, other than finishing Prince of Persia was really good, and deleting Pal World, which was very satisfying. Yeah, I think that's it. Also, my Overwatch stats have dropped substantially. I know.
Why?
That game is dying, and unless Season 9 fixes problems, I think it's over.
damn, I thought this last patch, I thought it was cool. I haven't installed that in forever. Like I ain't played the dude that looked like The Rock from the animated movie. Um,
No,
but yeah, I thought that last patch fixed like the Roadhog stuff. I thought the matchmaking got better. Like,
no.
man,
People don't
okay.
play anymore, so every game literally has people who are in the wrong rank, people who are not playing, people who are quitting. I mean, it's just dead.
Oh, yep.
Like
It's that that is
none of
not
the people that actually want to play the game are playing the game anymore, so every game is bad.
even competitive. Normally,
That's the only
like
thing
the
I'm
ranked
playing.
stuff is.
That's the only thing I'm
Oh
playing.
wow.
Like
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
bad. I literally was in a game the other day where the other tank just gave up and started like walking around the map.
That's the death rattle of a
Damn.
multiplayer game right
It
there.
is. It is.
Yep.
But that's what I was asking because normally the ranked stuff you don't really have that problem. What it is like the ranked stuff takes like a long time to find a match. But like the like quick play, you get people that just don't give a fuck. But like the ranked, like where the dedicated people are, it just takes forever. But
No.
yeah, you got people fucking around in ranked. Like damn.
If so, the big change is coming in season 9. Like season 8 just feels like it was just a waste of a season. Like other than the new character, which he was broken for half of the season, which
Is
made
that the Rock?
yeah, like he was so
Okay.
OP in the first half of the season that if you didn't pick him, you just lost. Like
That's the
there wasn't even
Overwatch
a
way.
question. It wasn't even a question. Like you just picked him or you lost.
Nice.
So, but now, like the big change coming in 9 is that they're resetting the ranks and changing the ranking system. And if that doesn't fix it, I think I just might be done. I went from playing like 40 matches a week to my past one was I played 10.
Jeez.
Yeah. I played 10 matches this week. That was it. And when I'm not
Well,
playing, that's not good.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you the hardest working Overwatch person I know. You know what I mean? Like, man.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, I'll talk about the other stuff next week. But let's talk about what is coming out this week. For Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, you've got HOW, Little Guardsman, Stumble
Lil Whip.
Guy. What?
Nothing. It's
Oh.
up from Smite. Go ahead.
Stumble Guys. Which the only reason I know that
Wait.
game is I was invited to a Discord where they were giving away a free Xbox controller for it. I'm like, I'm good.
Nice. That's a
Stumble
mobile
Guys.
game.
Yeah,
It's a mobile game. It's obviously Fall Guys, which is so funny with
That's
all
what
this
I
stuff that's
was
come out.
gonna.
Power World, and we
Hmm.
have this. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean their
it's a
characters are just generic humanoid thing. They're not the beans from Fall Guys, but yeah, I mean
Devil Inside Us, Roots of Evil, Go Mecha Ball, Hidden
Devil
Through
inside.
Time.
Devil inside.
Hidden Through Time. Are you like Rob Zombie in this shit? What's going on?
no, in excess.
No, it's in excess.
I know, but you
How do you
sounded
not
like
know
Rob.
that song?
No, you
Oh.
sounded like Rob Zombie. Like, Devil Inside. Just waiting on you to bust out some Dragula and we'd be in there. Hidden Through Time 2, Myths and Magic. Jet Rider Reduce, Reuse, and Blast It Off. Phantom Abyss. Star Wars Rogue. And then on Friday, if you got a couple minutes, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Tekken 8 are both launching on
No,
Friday.
jeez, oh Pete.
Yeah.
if you got a couple of minutes.
PlayStation 5, mostly the same stuff, but we're also getting, this is a J game. We've got Under Night In Birth 2 Sis Celeste.
Jesus, yeah, it is. Lord.
Immortality is making its way over to PS5. Macross Shooting Insight. Toho Luna Knights. And Revita. PlayStation 4, we've got Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy. The rest of the stuff is the same. Still wild to me that Tekken is not coming out on last gen. It's crazy.
Right?
Yeah, but I think they worked black magic on the last Tekken to make it run on the previous consoles the way it looked.
Well, it did get a
Man.
Pro upgrade, which looked
Although
a
it
hell of a
looked
lot
always
better.
bad. It looked bad on Xbox
Oh,
always,
Xbox!
right?
No, the
Yeah.
Xbox version is terrible. The
Okay.
PlayStation 4
Terrible.
version is much better, and the PS4 Pro version is even better than that.
I thought that game looked beautiful, but I mean, like, those games have always been fairly detailed in comparison to everything else. So
Yeah. And then Nintendo Switch. Jesus Christ. 1,000 fucking
Sit back.
videos.
Right.
What do we got here? What is the date? Okay, it's 21st. So we got Sudoku, game for kids. Neptunia Sisters versus Sisters.
Wow.
Sister.
Neptunia game.
Yeah, that's a different kind of. Ooh, yeah, that's something different.
Legend of Steel Empire. Saga of the Moon Priestess. Arcade Tycoon. Bodhi Tanks 2.
Bodhi tanks.
Bodhi Tanks.
sorry, how do you spell that?
Like boat. Boaty.
Okay.
Tanks. Bodhi
My
Tanks.
mind is telling me no, but my Bodhi
When are
is
we
telling
getting-
me thanks.
When are we getting Booty Cheeks, the game? Oh, wait. That's probably
Yeah.
already on Steam.
Probably is.
Oh, shit. Chips Challenge is coming to Switch this week?
I
I don't. What is
that
that? I
game.
don't know what
Yeah,
that
as
is.
you say, I know that game exists and is important, and that is all I know about.
It's actually really good. It's an old-ass game. It's literally
It is an
like
old-ass
old
game.
computer game
Yeah.
that's like ported to everything more than like Doom even. But
Yeah, but it's a really fun game. All right. This is all capitalized, by the way. Egg Console Yokai Tentai PC 8801.
oh
Like,
man, they really need to do work on their. They've started releasing those PC 88 games, and they all have terrible names like that.
Jesus.
What else we got? We got Evil Nun, The Broken Mask.
Hold on, just as proof. Egg console Hidewide PC 8801. Egg console Thexter PC 8801 Mark II SR. They are. I'm really glad you're bringing these PC 8801 games, but please work on the naming convention.
I mean, Lord.
Hitman Blood Money Reprisal. It's coming to the Switch.
What's
What?
that?
Yeah. I
Oh,
don't-
for Switch.
Yeah, I
Like
don't.
Oh, I remember this. It's just Blood Money, but they've done some updates. I think they're
They
gonna.
switched it down.
Actually, I guess it's it's because they put Hitman Blood Money on Android
Oh,
and iOS, so they're porting that to the Switch.
oh, cool.
But it's Hitman Blood Money. It's not like a portable weird version of it.
Jet Rider. Kobo Lock. Oops.
What? Hold on. What before you say
Kobo Lock.
Kobo Lock. Kobolok.
Oh, Kobo.
Did you think I said
That's
hobo?
basically-
I
If
thought
you-
you said hobo.
I-
Yes.
I did too.
Kobo
God.
Lock. Kobo
Kobo
Lock.
Lock.
Can I just
That's wild.
Kobolock is an ethnic PS1 style horror
Whoa!
game based on an Eastern European fairy tale about round bread Kobolock. And then it goes into the other names in another language that I won't be able to pronounce.
All right.
It's a 3D horror game, indie horror game.
Oops, I said yes. Puzzle Pet, Feed Your Cat. Selling
was the
Souls, Star Wars Rogue, and Star Wars Rogue Augmented.
Oh.
Sweets Drop.
No, you gotta stop for a second. Okay. Oops, I said yes.
Okay, yeah, because he just
You
paused over that.
Yeah. You accidentally get hitched to that guy from work when you're drunk. Can marriage be a starting point for love?
No.
It's a visual novel. I am highly uncomfortable.
You
That
Yeah.
guy from work.
that guy, probably all in caps.
That guy.
That
No,
guy?
it was that guy with like quotes around it.
Nice.
Christ on a cracker. UFO Henfield. Brain Memory
Henfield.
Brain Memory Training Academy, Dead Tomb, Grotto, Negligee, what
Oh Lord.
the Revita, Sci-Fi Racer Simulator, and The Adventures of Panzer Legacy Collection. Jesus Christ, what is happening?
I just don't care, man. It's like
All right, news. Let's do news. Red Art Games will start publishing physical Xbox games. Their first release will be Softstar, with more to come in the future. Which is cool that somebody's putting out Xbox physical games because Microsoft
ain't. I was gonna say Microsoft because
Hellblade
Limited Run, I guess, was making it very clear why they don't do Xbox runs, but just.
I mean, I understand that online, like this whole conversation constantly happens between physical and digital, and I understand the people that want the physical games, but there is a reason why they don't put them out. They're losing money on them.
Well, exactly. You know what? Like, yeah, well, I mean, especially when you have Game Pass, but
yeah.
Like Microsoft games have not been having the greatest output. You know, their glory days have been over, and they haven't really gotten back to that point. The games are kind of known and before they come out, and then they don't sell. But again, now you're competing with Game Pass as well. So, like, why would I buy a physical copy of Gears 5? But then, what the stores do, they need to have the big blockbuster game potentially because someone might want to buy it. So then these games don't sell, and then they discount them for like $5.
Yeah, but I mean, the retailers are getting out of it now. So.
Well, I mean, why would you when you get stuck with why would anybody buy Microsoft games when they get them on Game Pass?
Well, I mean, they're getting rid of physical media. Period.
Well, that's true too. Yes.
So I mean, like. Why would you invest in something that like Best Buy or Walmart's eventually just not going to carry? Like,
well, I was just thinking, even though like to the game store that I used to go to,
oh sure,
it was just video games. Like the Microsoft section kept getting smaller because there is no point of bringing in games for it.
No, it's if you have an Xbox, what are you playing on it? Game Pass. That's what you're playing on it. Speaking of Game Pass, we've got some new games. We've got Those Who Remain, Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, F123, Pow World, Go Mecha Ball, Brotato, Persona 3 Reload, and Anushard? Whatever the fuck that is. Microsoft did their developer direct this week. They announced 4 games being added, but it ended up being 5. We saw Ara History Untold, which is a strategy game from the makers of Civ. We saw Avowed, which looked pretty fucking cool, I'm not gonna lie.
It did, yeah.
It did look cool, yeah.
I want to play that game. That game looks neat. Senua Saga Hellblade 2, which looked like Hellblade. I mean...
Yeah, I still have not beat the first one of that, so I'm like just kind of like whatever. I probably will never play the second one. It looks good.
It's crazy because like people were like expecting them to like change what the game was and make it like one of the Sony Sad Dad simulators, but
oh wow,
it's still just Hellblade.
They're
it's
not
like,
all Sad Dad simulators. There's only 2. Come on, man.
I mean, so. Okay, what do we call it? Third person?
I don't know.
Big budget cinematic.
Third person cinematic experiences.
Okay, there we go. So yeah.
I like how his accent changed when he said it. That was nice.
Yeah. Square Enix showed up and threw Microsoft a bone with Visions of Mana.
Man, I can't wait for that.
It's so fun, but it's so funny.
Hold on, what is this?
Visions of Mana is the new Mana game, which is hilarious because like the whole thing was like Mana is finally coming to Xbox. So they're like, what the fuck is Mana?
Yep.
You could put the collections on there, that might help.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't, or put the remake that they did for because I still haven't played that one. Was it Legend? Not be
Legend or Trials or something. I don't know.
Might be Trials. It was the
Trials
one that never came here.
That's Trials.
Yeah, it's that one. They should put that on there.
Well, they need to also port the original game to anything but like portable phones and the Vita.
Oh
Like
yeah, right.
because they remade the original game in 3D before doing sorry, is it Illusion? What's the one that came out over here?
You're asking the wrong dude on the Mana
I think
series.
it's illusion, sir. I do believe it's
Um,
illusion. Hold on, I'm
no,
looking.
Secret of Mana.
There you go.
Secret of Mana. Illusion of Mana. What? Illusion of Gaia and Secret of
That's
Mana get
Gaia.
stuck in my
Yeah,
head.
that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Secret of Mana. Before they did that, they did the first game in the series that was like what Final Fantasy Adventure, Legend, whatever the one that wasn't the RPG.
On Game Boy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Final
They
Fantasy Legend, I think is what it's called.
Okay, so they remade that in 3D, and I've been waiting for them to port that, but I'm very happy. I did not know that this was announced.
Oh yeah, they announced this
They
last
showed
year.
gameplay.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
announced
Did
it
they
last
really?
year. Yeah.
Oh man, well, it's neat that they're at least like the people that I guess it looks like the same team that remade the other games are working on this one because it looks very similar. So I'm glad that they're doing more of this. Like that's nice to have. I'm just sorry. I was like, I didn't know that got announced. I heard about the other stuff, but not this.
Yep. This one was like the surprise. Hey, here, this is another game.
Oh man, I just saw the underwater section. God damn it.
Yeah, man.
And then the last game they showed was obviously Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and I'm just impressed that we saw nothing of this game and then saw everything of this game. Like that doesn't happen anymore.
Yep, that was definitely impressive. Like they kept that under wrap because they showed a lot of that, like the trailer and stuff. Like you got to see a lot, and that none of that got leaked.
Nope.
That's crazy.
Nope. The only we saw, like we joked about it forever because they showed that stupid 6-second teaser like 2 years ago. Like, hey, we're making an Indiana Jones game. Like, we don't see it for 2 years, and you're expecting
they gave you the Indiana Jones logo and then like finger guns. And
and it's like
off the stage.
Are you expecting this? You're gonna see like maybe 30 seconds of gameplay, and they're like, nah, here's the whole fucking game. Let's just go.
So, I didn't watch it. I didn't, I don't. I just didn't want to spend the time. I was busy this week too. Does it basically look like Wolfenstein?
I mean, it's fairly similar as far as like the structure of the visuals go. It's very fast.
Does it? But you know what I mean? Does it look like it's the same sort of gameplay loop?
I mean, it's
right, like collectibles around, maybe some secrets, and you're kind of going through like a linear story.
I get that it is in that sense, like it is a linear with like moderately open world areas because there's a lot of puzzles apparently in this game.
Okay.
So
this might be like, I don't care that it's Indiana Jones based. I mean, if it's what inspires them to make the puzzles they make, but like this might be one of those games that actually makes me upgrade to a Series X.
Oh wow!
I mean, the game.
I wish it wasn't in first person. I want to play it. I just was hoping for a third person. I get why they're doing something different, but man,
machine games, despite being far more linear, it's spun off of Starbreeze, and man, like if you want to talk about two of my like favorite first person experiences, not that I finished Riddick, but the Chronicles of Riddick and The Darkness, the first one, are two of my favorites because
both of
it's
which
just
are great.
Yeah, I love those games. So even though it got more linear with Wolfenstein, the 3 single player ones that they made, I loved those games. Even the second game, which was far more difficult, I enjoyed a lot still. To the point where I did the stupid kill all the commanders to unlock the secret mission to get this really cool visual that they built. So I just kind of want to play their next game. But I also, I like puzzles. So, and it's still in the killing Nazis, area.
Yeah, there's a lot of Nazi punching in the trailer.
Yeah, and I'm always down for some of that. So
that's the other thing that I desperately want from this, because if you're a real Indiana Jones fan, Indiana Jones has a very specific punch sound effect, and oh my god, I hope this game uses that, because it did not sound like that in the trailer, but I hope that was just my ears, and I hope it has the punch sound effect because I love the punch sound effects in Indiana
They
Jones.
did squeeze the Wilhelm scream in the trailer.
I heard
Yeah,
that.
they
I caught
did.
that. Yep, I caught that, but I was waiting for the punches, and I was like, oh, it doesn't quite sound like it, but I hope it. Oh God, I hope they use it. I love the sound effect of that.
I will say that like the discourse online is that this might be the first game that gets people to want to buy an Xbox because
I
it's
mean,
not
I just
available
said that,
anywhere.
right?
That's what
Like-
Anthony said. Yeah, he was like, shit, I may upgrade for this. Like, yeah.
And I'm not even the Indiana Jones fans. Like, I'm sure that brings in a completely different audience too.
Oh yeah, I saw
Yeah.
lots of people out there like, God, I wish this was on PlayStation, and I was like, well, they finally got one.
Yep.
Like you don't hear
Yeah.
that kind of talk most of the
Halo
time.
Infinite.
Yeah.
I think
And
the
you
only
know what
one that
other
people have
thing-
asked for
Go ahead.
is, I guess, sort of Starfield before it came out. But I think the only one that you can say that is Hi-Fi Rush. That people have wanted Hi-Fi Rush, and
Sure, but that's
on
that's a
other
much
consoles
quieter game. Like this one is
Yeah.
like mainstream. Like you have
It's
to
Indiana
have
Jones.
yeah, and you have to have an Xbox or a PC, and it's like if this thing is only on Series X, I think most people ain't gonna have the PC to run it. I'm just
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be impressively, spec that. But okay, that was the other thing. His voice, like, first of all, I'm sick of hearing Troy Baker. But he sounds like, because people online was like, oh my God, that sounds exactly like Harrison Ford. No, it does not. There was parts where he sounded really close, but it sounded like a nigga that was just pretending to be Harrison Ford. Like, I'm not mad at it, but like, I don't know. How y'all feel? Y'all like
I
Troy
think
Baker?
it's
Y'all rock with
it's
him?
fine. Like he
I
has enough
mean-
range that he can do it. Like I think people just get
Yeah,
upset with
it
him because
sounded
he's in
close.
everything.
That's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah.
He's in everything.
I got to tell
He's
you,
the-
I'd rather have Troy Baker than current Harrison Ford.
Oh, sure.
Not that
Good.
not that I have anything against Harrison Ford, but I have faith that Troy Baker will do a good job and try his hardest at this role. I do not have that faith if it was
Oh no, Harrison Ford
Yeah,
be like
doing
halfway
voice
through the
acting.
You want me to
recording,
work-
just be like, "Fuck it, whatever."
You
Just
want me to
I
read
have-
what?
Yep, I have said that. Harrison Ford
Ugh.
is an old school movie star. This man done his work. Like, man, a legend
You-
out here, and he don't give a fuck about none of this shit.
Hold on.
In one interview, that dude asked him, like, oh man, so are you really excited about this stuff? And he was like, nah, I'm just excited about going home. Like, he was dead
Right.
ass serious.
I just want to
hear-
get paid.
You
Yeah.
would hear the ambience of the room that he recorded it in on his cell phone,
Oh,
or
for sure.
it would be
Yeah.
from across the room or something.
Yeah.
That's how it would sound. Yeah, because funny enough, I know from experience because when they released Lego the Force Awakens, before they did the Skywalker saga, you could tell who came in to reread lines. You could tell who they were just like, just use the clip from the movie's audio. And you could tell who like literally phoned it in, and I'm pretty sure like Harrison Ford did.
Yeah, man, nah.
It was so bad.
No
That the game has the worst audio, and you can tell like the people that or just had a replacement. They're like, I'm not doing that, and somebody else had to step in. Oh man, yeah, no, I don't know. I don't mind Troy Baker, but all I'd say is like, Troy, remember when you like were supporting that AI voice acting thing? They would
remember
replace
that.
you for just AI Harrison Ford any day. So remember, this is why you have a job.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
They did give one release date, which was Hellblades on May 21st. The rest of them were just timing. So Avowed is fall. Indiana Jones was later in 2024. And I think Aura History Untold was what? Spring, maybe?
I think it was spring, yeah.
Like they
actually, it
literally
might have
don't
just-
have any like first quarter games. So
No.
Hellblade's one of those games where it's like, I will play it.
sure, it's on Game Pass.
I
Like, why
really,
the fuck
yeah,
not?
but I'm not buying a console to feel miserable.
Yeah, like I'll probably play it. I don't know if I'll.
Actually, miserable's not the right word. Miserable and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The voice is whispering. Ugh.
All right.
I never played the first one, so
It's good. It's just you have to know what it is. Like it is very much
It's-
like a walking simulator with some combat sprinkled in here and there.
Yeah, it's not it's not a spoiler either. The game basically tells you outright, like, please wear headphones because it's a lot of sort of spatial sound.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
voices coming from different directions around your head, making you
yeah.
Yeah, I've
have
heard
this
that.
the sense of
Audio,
psychosis and things like that. It's really well done. It's just you have to know what you're playing before you
And
play.
it is, and yeah, and you have to be kind of in the right mindset because I remember trying to play that while I was not feeling great, and I was like, nope, this is not. I can't do this right now because like just
No.
it is just kind of like the ick feeling, if anything, with all the voices so close. Yeah.
All right, running through some quick hitters here. Diablo 4 Season 3, Season of the Construct launches January 23rd, so that's out this week. For some reason, 2K is bringing back Topspin for $70, so I hope you like tennis a lot. Foam Stars launches February 6th on PS4 and PS5. It's also coming to PlayStation Plus, and it's a 6-month timed exclusive to PlayStation platforms, which is longer than the game will last.
He just couldn't help but get that in there. I
Yep.
swear to God.
I'm going at it. Let's go. Warhammer 40k Chaos Gate Daemon Hunters coming
Fuck yes.
February
Go
20th.
ahead. There you go. Yeah, I'm excited. That's been on PC for like a year. Like, and it's funny because the day before, actually the day of, they announced it on console. Like, it was like the last day it was on sale on Steam, and I was about to buy it. And I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna wait and get it on Xbox. Like, I was just about to get it.
Stalker 2 got a release date September 5th, 2024. Coming to Game Pass day 1. Frostpunk 2 launching in the first half of 2024 on PC, later in 2024 on Xbox and PlayStation, also coming to Game Pass. And 11-Bit Studios said more of their games are coming to Game Pass. What else do we got here? Visions of Mana launching summer 2024. Elder Scrolls Online Gold Road launches June 18th. Avowed, as we mentioned, fall 2024. What else we got here? Neptunia Sisters vs. Sisters is coming to Xbox on April 16th. So Xbox finally getting some Neptunia.
Oh Lord.
Sea of Stars physical version launches May 10th. I saw something that I wanted to bring up. Where's it at? Oh, Rock Band. The final DLC for Rock Band was announced. It's launching this week.
I didn't know that was still getting DLC. Holy crap.
Every week. It's been getting DLC since launch for every week, and this is the last one.
Wow. That's cool. I didn't know that.
Just salute and say thank you for your service.
I did play this. I forgot to mention this. So Ziggurat and Poppyworks released an official Slave Zero X mod for Quake Remastered. The mod includes 6 levels, 8 weapons, and an original soundtrack. You can download it within the game itself and just activate it, and then you can just play it.
That's neat.
Also, when I went in to play this, I did not know they did this, but somebody recreated Knee Deep in the Dead, the first episode of Doom, within Quake Remastered. Like, you can just play it.
Like, so it's the Quake enemies and Quake background?
You can mix it. You can mix it with just Doom enemies, or Doom and Quake enemies, or just
this
Quake.
Is in the Quake. This is in the Quake Remastered.
Yeah, and it's free. You just load it up, download it, and activate it, and you just play through Knee Deep in the Dead.
Like even on consoles.
Yeah, that's where I played it.
Me. All right, I'm making sure because I might get loaded up to get it.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, and this new Slave Zero X mod is pretty cool. Like, it feels like Quake, but it's like entirely new visuals, so it's pretty cool. Every video game is now getting a movie. Martha is Dead is getting a film adaptation.
What? Okay.
Until Dawn is getting a movie.
It already is one, but okay.
Ubisoft has updated the Ubisoft Plus service. It's now called Ubisoft Plus Premium. It's $18 a month, which is more than Game Pass.
Wow. That's ballsy of them. Is it just their new stuff?
So
go ahead, sorry.
So the premium, you get day one releases, multi and PC access, and premium editions. There's also a tier called Ubisoft Plus Classics on PC. It is $7.99 a month, and it is a curated selection of back catalog and live service games.
Hmm.
Ubisoft also announced a Captain Laserhawk game. It was rated by Peggy. I tried to watch that show. It's weird, man. It's like if you take all of Ubisoft's characters and put them in like this really gritty anime.
Oh yeah, I see Rayman's there.
Yeah, Rayman is in there. It's
I
weird.
might watch it because Rayman's in there. It's the most Rayman, you know.
Is it on Netflix?
Yeah,
What's
it's on Netflix. It's like, was it like 10 episodes or something? It's
And it's called the Captain Laserhawk
Captain
thing? Is that what
Laserhawk something
The
something.
Blood Dragon remix.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's weird.
I like weird.
The founders of Rocksteady Games have created a new studio called 100 Star Games. It includes founders Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker. It's based in London. Elden Ring has added a DLC package to Steam, so maybe that means the Erd Tree is coming soon.
Maybe. I hope.
There's a rumor that Embracer has killed Piranha Bytes, the team behind Gothic and Elex. So
Saw that.
That could be.
I also saw like some. It was a Reddit post, I believe, talking about how apparently the devs wanted to go back to. I mean, literally, their name is Gothic, but that sort of style, right? The medieval look. And like the guy who ultimately had control said no and wanted to keep going. They had Elex 3 already planned. Like Elex barely made enough. Like I'm surprised Elex 2 got made, and this guy thought like 3 was gonna happen.
I reviewed Elix 2, and I'm surprised that it got made. I don't know what but that's,
There. I mean,
Also,
we make fun of Ryan for liking janky RPGs. Is Gothic one of them, Ryan?
No, not really.
Yeah. See, like they're not the best. Like they just never were. And then
Gotcha.
like Risen. I mean, there's some neat concepts. Like they do have great ideas, but it's way too difficult. Like not like, oh, this is just a learning challenge. No, like it's impossible because the numbers don't make sense. Like Elex 1 has like the steepest learning curve. You have to literally go to the first village because otherwise you wander in the wilderness too long and all the creatures kill you in like one hit. So you always end up at the same sort of group because you can choose kind of who you join. Well, the easiest one is right in front of you because otherwise you have to wander through the wilderness. I don't know. I'm surprised they've lasted this long with the mentality of how they design games.
Oh shit! All right, I'm gonna do the emails and the tweets to finish up the show. But of course, I love it when people write in to yell at me. It's always my favorite thing. It's me this week.
What'd you do?
So Adam sends in an email. It just says corrections, in my opinion. He says, last week you guys stated a couple things I'd like to attempt to correct. And to be fair, both of these came from Zero. Oh, jeez.
Now, hold on. He could be talking about who he thinks is a Zero.
I mean, that's probably still me.
It could still, it could be me. Come on.
He says, you said PlayStation Plus sucks as a service. I think what you meant was PS Plus Premium sucks I thought that was implied. Like,
I mean,
I have always said that PlayStation Plus, like the middle tier, is fucking great.
Yeah, I'll. As much as I'd love to have someone yell at Ken for once instead of me, because it's usually me. That's how
it is.
We've gone over this before. Like, I think we all agree that like the mid tier is basically PlayStation's answer to Game Pass. It's that extra tier that just does not give any of the old games. And you know what? It's on them for like having so many fucking tiers and being as confusing. Like that's the reason why like it's the PlayStation PP. Like That's the reason why we call it that. Like, it's you've made it too confusing. You've done the stupid thing of making it too hard to understand for consumers that are not in the know.
No, I agree. He says essential is and has always been a good deal. I agree. Even if you only get games that you want to play half of, or even a quarter of the time, it still easily pays for itself. And extra is the same thing, just with far more games. No, I agree with both of those. Like, those two tiers are absolutely fine. Like, if I said PS Plus sucks, I just implied the premium tier, because Sony was like, we're going to give you classic games, and then they're like, fuck you, you get Siphon Filter.
All of them.
All of
we
them.
added
All
achievements,
of them.
guys.
I don't give a fuck
Like,
about
okay.
trophies and achievements.
But I mean, yeah, like, all right, and that's great. I'm really glad you did, but like, why now of all things? Like, you've been releasing games on the PS3,
Yeah.
and those didn't have trophies. I would have loved Metal Gear Solid 1 with trophies. Thank you very much.
All right. He says, second, there was a rant about people waiting to play or pay for Ubisoft games. Motherfucker, you guys know how many games come out. Speaking of, I'm still on the Assassin's Creed DLC.
Yep.
We don't all get free review copies of games, and we are not all waiting for the price drop. Sometimes we just don't have the time, especially with all the games we already have to play. I don't see the point of buying a game brand new at full price. I still have many finished that I haven't finished or even started.
I don't even remember that part.
I was joshing
No,
Ryan about
I
buying
remember it.
fucking
Yeah.
Prince of Persia, which I was
Right.
mostly just
And then-
poking at you.
Right.
And then they came out. Ubisoft came out and was basically like, "Hey, we just released this great new game. What a great time for you to subscribe to our newly renovated subscription service where you can play this game for $18."
And hope you
Meanwhile,
don't.
Ken's giving me shit about saying that that's what I was going to do.
I mostly just like to give you shit, but that's
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah.
You know what?
That's been the
motherfucker-
case for coming up on 25 years now. So.
This is true, but I have always been the proponent of, like, it's my motherfucker. Like, the guy that... Dude, I had a 4-hour argument with a dude on Twitter who was telling me I should give the extra money for the Horizon deal, or the Horizon upgrade.
Oh, God.
Like,
I'm pretty sure
I was like,
too.
no, dude, buy it for the $10 cheaper and upgrade it for free. He's like, no, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, motherfucker, it's my wallet.
There's no morality in
Right.
capitalism. You don't get
Right.
morality for spending money on things. That's not how that works, motherfucker.
It reminds
you don't get to
me-
put money in the till. Oh, I'm good.
Yeah. It's you have no allegiance to any of these corporations because they have no allegiance to you.
No, dude. If
It reminds me of the Achewood comic, where the guy says, "Why did you send a check for $10,000 to Oreos?" And the other guy says, "I like their product. I wanted them to have a little walking around money."
Yeah, no, like, dude, ain't nobody out there like, I'm gonna give you more money because I like your product. I want your product for as cheap as I can fucking get it. Give me that shit cheap.
Right.
Look, there's
I want them to have a little walking around. But that was funny.
The thing that gets me there is this is also like when the game launches, when it's the most expensive. So what he said, like, then you just go, well, then I'll wait until it goes on sale. So they're not getting as much money, possibly. Like, it just doesn't. I don't know what the fuck you want people to buy the game when it comes out, so you get another one. That's how a game succeeds, right? Unfortunately, and it's like what this dickhead was saying to you was like, no, don't spend $10 less. Like, okay, then I'll wait for the PS5 version to go on sale.
I mean, this
Like-
stuff happens all the time. Like, PlayStation guys are weird because, like, they jump on Game Pass all the time. They're like, I'd rather give money directly to the developers. Like, what the fuck do you think Microsoft did to get it on Game Pass?
Right.
Yeah. Like, I don't. I mean,
They
Xbox
didn't
people
just
are
give
weird
them a
too.
lifetime
No, they're all
subscription
weird.
to
They're-
Windows.
Well,
but
but
about
I mean,
money, like,
Xbox
PlayStation
people
people
might
are
be
weird.
weirder, but you just don't see as much of them because there's more PlayStation fanboys, and those fanboys say the same shit, and it's all stupid. Although I will say the $10 guy was something a little different. I've never seen someone like fucking lick a boot like that.
I mean, and it was a long bootleg, and that thing went on for like
Oh.
4 hours. I was like, man, why am I
Yeah,
still
4
replying to
hours.
this?
Sax music could be heard
Right.
playing. Like, ugh.
Jesus
yeah, this
Christ!
dude
You guys
going
do the
a lot.
most with the fucking bootlicking. I don't even get it. Like, I don't even understand it.
Me either. Like,
Like,
I don't.
give game developers their props, because the reality is, like, those are the people that actually do the hard work. The publishers are just the one that
Take the money.
spends and collects the
Take the
money.
money. Yeah, they just put it
they're
out.
just
Yeah.
they're just a bank, essentially.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
So, I do say, like, I totally understand, like, simping for developers, but like when they are also publishers, or just the publisher, like, I don't get it. Like, they're just rich people that spent money, or rich people coming together as a corporation to spend money, I should say.
All right. This next email is another Game of the Year list from a listener. Us from Blue Skies. He says, "Hey guys, I listen every week, and I think everyone is a great part of the show with varying tastes. Since I forgot to send my Game of the Year list, here it goes. Most disappointing, Redfall and Starfield. Basically all Microsoft's output other than Hi-Fi Rush. Microsoft better get its shit together this year. It's been a decade of futility, really, with a few shining spots. The Horizon games tossed in.
It does appear that they will get their shit together this year.
It
Based on what
feels-
they showed the other day.
It feels that way. It feels like we might finally not have to say, let's wait till next year for Xbox to do something."
Right.
He says, "The other disappointment of the year was Diablo 4. Although I put in over 50 hours and finished the main story, I haven't gone back. The focus on removing aspects and putting them on other gear just ruined the fun." Honorable mentions: Gloomhaven, El Paso Elsewhere, Pikmin 4, Remnant 2, and Super Mario RPG. And then his top 10 are, in descending order, Resident Evil 4, Octopath 2, Spider-Man 2, Dead Island 2, which nobody talked about, Shadow Gambit, Cursed Few, Diablo 4, disappointing but I did enjoy it, Star Ocean Second Story R, Cobalt Core, came out in late December and is a great roguelike, Space Card, a battler, Like a Dragon Gaiden, awesome side game before Infinite Wealth, although it is a full-size game well over 20 hours, and Baldur's Gate 3, best RPG and overall game in years. Final thoughts: the AAA game industry is creatively bankrupt. Although the games this year were great, most of them were better iterations of original games. Some were even just glorified DLC. Looking at you, Zelda Tears of the King. Oh, get the fuck out of my... Ah!
There's so much added to that game. Like, that game is, what I would argue, probably triple the size.
He says he played a couple dozen hours and it was meh. You're meh.
I didn't like the loop as much as I did in Breath of the Wild.
I'm still playing it.
I know.
But looking at,
I know I'm the weird one. I understand.
but looking at my list of 15 games, 8 were sequels, 3 were remakes, 1 was a board game conversion, and only 3 were original games, which were basically indie games. AAA games are getting too expensive and complex and take too long to make. Stockholders getting antsy and urge publishers to push out games before they're done, resulting in some subpar games. Publishers don't want to take risks due to time and money, and therefore stick to sequels and easy money remasters. If any of these underperform to their lofty, unrealistic expectations, and that's why we're having these layoffs. It's ugly and it will get worse. We need more A and AA games, not 6-year developed game rehashes. Anyway, take care, from Daryl. Yeah, we've had this conversation a lot, but I just feel like that $300 million game budget ain't gonna sustain, man.
How could it ever?
Not without $100 game prices.
Yeah, I mean, the quality that you get from games isn't helping, right? Like, we buy a game at full price, what is it over there? 70?
70 is the
right?
new standard for
Yeah.
AAA games.
So
yes.
like, mine is 80, So, like, then you bring it home and it's not, or if you buy it on digitally, whatever, and then it's like not finished, right? Like, that doesn't help. like that makes it less likely to go and buy it day one. That means that they're not getting their full money back. It feeds into itself.
Yeah, which is why things like Game Pass do well, because you pay for this and then you can play it, and if it's shit, then you just delete it and play something else.
You know, the only person that I buy physical games from, other than like the Yakuza series, because I have a thing with collecting those games, is Nintendo stuff. Because like generally, even in their base form, they're playable games. Like they're a full experience still.
Nintendo is very high on quality control, 100%.
Yeah, and I mean they still patch issues that show up later. But
they try to patch out my fun in Tears of the Kingdom, but I have still not updated that game.
Yeah, I fucking wish I hadn't updated.
Yep.
They didn't patch out my fun.
I had a clean playthrough and never used any of the duplications, so I updated mine because
I mean, do you
sniff
your
need
own
to sully
farts
my
too?
experience.
Right. Like, you sniff your own farts, dude?
I said, do you sniff your own farts?
Yeah.
He's swirling around in a wine glass, talking about some, yeah.
Wow, we're just guilt tripping Ryan for just not being shitty and playing the game as meant to be played.
It's Gatorade in the wine glass, by the way.
It's Gatorade in the wine glass, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh shit! No, that's hilarious. No, fuck that. I was like, man, when the fairies were like, you need 55 of this item to upgrade your armor. I was like, hold on, let me
and I just jumped off the little step.
Yeah, let me dupe all this shit.
Here you go.
I duplicated the shit out of stuff. Like, man, listen.
I still spent 150 hours in that game. You can't say nothing. Fuck you. I'll duplicate it. I don't care.
Yeah. Fuck. God damn it. That's exactly what I did.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I can only imagine what it would have looked like to anybody around the area if we just jumped.
I just jump off the ledge.
I learned the hard way that you can't duplicate bombs. Like, that doesn't work for me.
You also can't duplicate lizards because they run away.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
I'm like, how's that bitch still alive in my pocket? Like, he should be dead. Oh shit!
I'm just picturing when like Link catches the animal, there's just a small animation of him bashing it against the ground.
Yeah, die, motherfucker! Right. You're going in my pouch.
Jump it in this pouch. Jump it in here.
All right, we got one tweet and then we're going to get out of here. Chad writes in and says, I want a video game that is purely focused around a forbidden, overly dramatic love story with Souls-like gameplay, and one more thing, it's a musical. Also, I've been drinking today.
Sounds like a great game.
I mean, I'm surprised it doesn't exist. I'm going to be honest with you.
So just wait for Romeo. Well, they'll make Romeo and Juliet in the style of Life of Pi. Or not Life of Pi.
Life of P.
Life of Strange. If they made it in the style of Life of Pi, that would be something.
You just on a boat having
makes sense except for the tiger.
Yeah, you're just on a boat having like delusions of grandeur or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
Why is that not a game? Like. I could totally see a musical Lies of P that's focused around a love story.
Well, you know what? I was just thinking, it would be an indie game, so it'd be a 2D Metroidvania Souls-like, and that all the dialogue would be sung.
I saw somebody call Prince of Persia a Souls-like, and I was like, come over here so I can slap you.
Right? Yeah, no. It had, yeah. And you know what? I tested that too when I got to the first save point thing because I thought that was what it's going to do. So I killed something and then like saved, and I was like, oh, okay, it didn't respawn. All right, we're not. This is a Souls game.
Fuck, I think every time you die, you just lose a couple shards or something, like currency.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is.
You lose your currency. Yeah, it falls out of you, and then that's it. Like, it's not a big penalty for dying. And then, like, you don't, like, when you fuck up on traps and stuff, you don't die instantly. It just takes some health. So you can always just heal all the way back up before you try again. So, like, each time you mess up, it's just like you get hit, basically.
Oh, yeah.
There's a new...
So you're saying you could dust it off and try again?
Yes, sir. You can dust it right off and
Okay,
try
good.
again. Try again.
Good.
Try again.
Rest in peace.
Jesus.
Absolutely.
Man, what a ride this has been. If you stuck around past the PAL world, which I'm shocked I'm still here, we I feel like it was a good show.
It was. I think it was a good show.
Oh man! So I gotta ask this question: how long do you think this keeps going? Because it just broke 4 million this morning. Like, where does it end?
Well, hold on. I actually, fuck.
Excuse me.
I had a number of what it was selling per hour.
Yeah, they said they show it was like 81,000 or something stupid.
Yeah,
Like they had
yeah. Per hour.
And none of this is counting Game Pass, which is fucking wild to me.
Right. This is just the paid stuff on Steam. Like it's not counting if they bought it on Xbox or that either. It's literally just the Steam purchases, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious how long this goes.
Same. Because I honestly, I think everybody, like I said, and when I was talking about it, everybody's appeal is like, oh man, I love Pokemon. I love shooters. Let me play this. But I think they're going to get in there like you and be like, I got to eat. I got to build a base. I got to punch this tree and get resources. Fuck this. I thought I was just, giving Pikachu a pistol. No, it's not. It's a little bit more than that. So I'm curious to see.
Oh shit! All right.
This is because the children yearn to live off the land and survive in the wild.
Yeah, right. The children yearn for the mines.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is their literal definition of touching grass. That's what the kids be doing these days. Anyway, if you want to tweet us, it's at ZTGD Radio on the Twitter. We also have an email, podcast@ztgd.com. And I believe Phoenix Down is kicking into Greedfall.
Yeah.
So I think that first episode will probably be this week. I know we were staggering Dead Space because they like lost a week in there, so we didn't actually lose a week because we had extra episodes, so we were good. So I think Greedfall probably starts this week. But I think that's it. So unless anybody has anything else, I'm going to go watch the last 2 playoff games, bitches.
Yeah, go Lions.
That's right. Peace.
Alrighty. And it goes something like this.